Hello guys and girls, this is Got Tank and I've got another replay I want to show you. This is the 121 Chinese medium and it got buffed. Now it's been buffed a little bit ago now, but nevertheless I recently got this tank and I only have maybe 30-40 games on it. I really like it. It's like a 62A but with a bigger gun, and so it excels at kind of like mid-range brawling. It can snipe a little bit. It can do a little bit of everything, actually, and I think this game kind of showcases that. This is mines, obviously. Um, well, let's just jump in and see how it goes. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So first I always look at the teams. I don't see anything remarkable except they have an artillery piece and we do not, but such is life sometimes. So I decide to tuck into this little Cubby and E4. This tank seems pretty well suited for that. Depression is one of the things that they buffed about it. I'm not really sure what else. I think its depression became -5 instead of -3. So I tuck in and I just start nailing these guys that are going up the hill. And this chunky alpha is just perfect for this. Now, this guy, I was pretty sure he's screwed, but I shot the gun of the dead tank right there. It's just one of those very unlucky things. So, for Pika booming, this is just the best medium that I can think of. Probably the biggest alpha of all mediums, right? Put a nice shot into the syntax, and just keep farming it here for a bit. This is where probably half the damage I do this game comes from, is this initial spot. Now if you look at the way I've got this tank to make up for the depression, it's kind of like running a Russian medium. You basically want to angle the hull by, see, like I'm off to the left side of this little depression instead of perfectly centered, which tilts the whole tank and allows me to get shots. It does have a pretty good turret. It's pretty bouncy. You'll see that here in a minute, where I take a couple hits from the Super Conqueror. Unfortunately, he does have a great turret too, and so yeah, I'm not able to do much to him. Here's, I think, here's the first bounce. So I just kind of like give up on him for a second. I go after this E5. These guys happily ignore me to their own barrel. Even though what I find with like a 62A, sometimes you'll be shooting people and they'll ignore you because the alpha is so little, again to their own detriment. With this tank, you get people's attention pretty friggin' quick when you're rolling like 440 and stuff like that. It tends to make people pay attention to you, and then they start backing up. So here I'm not, I'm not trying to force anything. I do have a platoon mate. It's the 48 Patton over here to my left. He hasn't taken any hits. I haven't taken any hits. We're in pretty good shape. Right now we're down on HP just a little tiny bit, about 1,000. The tank count is even. So I'm just trying to assess what to do. I contemplate, since they've backed off, I don't really have any more shots from that spot, so I decide to go up the hill. It seems like a safe time to do that. The Super Conch backed out, so I think my buddy gets tracked there a little bit. I can't do anything to that syntax, so I don't even try. They do have an artillery. I'm keeping that in mind, so I'm kind of sticking close to this hill so I don't get smacked with, possibly 3 times, because it's an autoloader. Now, one of the things that I'm looking for is the land arty, which would be the 183, probably sitting somewhere in the back. He has been lit, and so I'm actually trying to spot him right here. I noticed that they've got some tanks over on the 9 line, and so this spot right here, when you peer over to shoot stuff down below, this spot right here, works great for Russian mediums, and I guess, I figured probably this one too, because it allows you again to tilt your whole hull over to that side like this. And I see the 140, he gets a shot off on me. That's the first damage I've taken all game so far. That's okay. I rolled like twice as much as he did. And I should have probably taken a shot there, but I didn't. I didn't want to miss. Maybe that's one of the things that better players do, is they take more chances like that, because you never know, it might hit, So, tried it there, didn't work. I decided to give up on that for a second before I get clicked, and go see what this 183 is doing. A little bit of uncertainty here. I'm just trying to kind of figure out what the next thing I'm going to do is. The depression screws me over here. I can't do anything. I do spot the arty, and just almost kill him. Low roll. He was looking at me, turns out. He dies. Again, a little bit more uncertainty, just trying to figure out what my next, good play should be. At this point, we are down on HP, but we are up in tanks massively, and it's actually interesting how this game is going to progress from here. This is where I think we give away our advantage. So the 183 shoots me. He does actually. I was surprised. Their aim is not that great, but his reload sucks too. So I'm gonna go for a second shot here. Leave him with a sliver. Sadly, he gets away. So the arty's dead now, so I feel a little more comfortable that I can camp here and just have my way with people. Now the 183, he's gone into hiding, so I have to give up on that. And it looks like we have a massive advantage. It's 8-4, but the HP is the same virtually, so it's actually closer than it looks. We have the position on the map on them, but as you're going to see, we're going to give away way more than we should. I'm at 5,400 damage so far, which is a pretty good game already, but it's not nearly over. I thought it would be. I'm just waiting for cleanup. I'm just kind of waiting for somebody else to make a play here, being lazy about it. But I started to realize that, it's actually kind of a stalemate at this point. The other 1-1 on the enemy team over in H4, he is actually being quite a pain in the ass. No one can dig him out, and he's sort of holding up the lunch line on the one line. Our E5 and the 62A, they can't do anything because he has, cross shots on him. And the Type 5s are tucked in under this hill, and no one can really do anything to them either. So our purple guy from Bulba is telling people to get off the hill, which is ironic because he never does till the end of the game. But he wants other people to get off the hill and make something happen. So, and I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I look at these Type 5s, they don't look like the most impressive players in the universe, so I decide that I'm going to be one of those people to make something happen. So I sit here for a moment. The 183 is dead already, so I'm not worried about him. And I'm just kind of thinking, like, should I do it? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go do it. Now, I was thinking my buddy would actually stay up top, but he decided to follow me too, which is I don't think it worked out that well for him. But as you'll see, this actually didn't go exactly the way I had planned it either. These Type 5s, man, they hit you for like 600 damage, and they do not have to aim. They just click you anywhere. Basically more land arty, so I know he's not looking at me, so I, peek and shoot him. Now my buddy's behind me, he gets lit, and I think he's coming to help me. And this part right here, that part sucked, that's what I mean. You get hit for like 660. I had HP up until that point. I was hoping that would be maybe even a kill shot, but I didn't pen. So the other one is loaded at this point, and I do not want to take another, high roll and die, basically. So, not sure what to do here. I sit back. I see the 13105, who's probably coming for me, because he knows that, us flanking these Type 5s, that's the end of the game. So, it is 9-6. We're still up in kills, but it's very close in HP still. And no shots on the 13105. There's a house. He's being very careful. So sadly, I'm gonna have to go back to shooting these damn Type 5s. The AMX just killed my platoon mate behind me. This guy just fired, so I feel pretty safe. I'm gonna shoot him in those little shoulder pads. I am using gold on him. Most of this match I've not been using premium rounds because you just don't need it. I take another shot because I know the Type 5 has a long reload to leave him with 100 health, 150. Kind of worried that this 105 is going to YOLO me, but he seems content sniping, so... I'm at 7,500 damage now, and so this is a very nice game. But this is tricky. No one can dig out the 1-2-1. The one line is locked up. These Type 5s they're sweating it a little because, we're kind of attacking them from every angle, but at the same time, either one of them, if he clicks me, I will probably die. So they just took out the 30B. I think they both fired, so I decide to, maybe I can finish this guy. And it works. Again, a premium round. And I only have 3 left. I didn't bring that many, because usually I don't need that many with this tank. But this is for those games, where you end up doing a high amount of damage. Sometimes you run out of ammo. And I make a mental note to myself to bring a little bit more. So that's that enemy 1-2-1 that's been kind of holding everyone up. I normally don't think of that spot in H4 as powerful, but in this particular situation, he's given us a lot of problems. Now here's where I screw up massively. I had thought that the Type 5 fired, or maybe was hoping that he would miss. He did not. And I died, sadly. So that's the end of my game, 7,600. Just goes to show that sometimes when it's like a risk, what I wanted to do is I wanted to just get across over into this lower part here, and then so I could get a better angle on the Type 5. And I had planned to just drive through here very quickly, hoping the Type 5 wouldn't have time to react, or this junk right here would block his line of sight. No, he squeezed one off and killed me right through here. It was actually a very good shot on his part, and he hit me for 552, which is just about exactly the HP that I had left. So, well, what happens next, fortunately, is a win. My team, we're tied in HP. If you look, it's 10 and 9, and it's 2,800 versus 2,700 HP, so it's very close. By dying, I really kind of, put the fate of this match into other people's hands. You really don't want to do that. But good stuff starts to happen, actually. People just break through on the one line, and that's the beginning of the end for them. I'm in chat, I'm asking them to make this count, because I want this to be a win. It even crossed my mind that I will make a replay out of it, because I had another very good replay with the 1-2-1, but it's after the patch came out, I can't replay it, so maybe if I install an older version of the game, I'll be able to put that one up. Anyway, so here we are down to just one tank. All in all, a really good game, except for the end. I only have 1 kill, which is interesting. It tends to go that way. I have games where I have like 7 kills and not that much damage, like 3k or something, and then games like this with monster damage and low kills. So yeah, just if there's a lesson to be learned here is don't do the little risky, like, oh, you know what, he'll probably miss. Don't say that. It's when you think they'll probably miss that they won't. Anyway, but yeah, that's the 1-2-1. It's really a good tank. I really like it, and I find myself thinking, why would anyone play a 62A when if you have a 1-2-1? Because it plays very similarly, minus the you can still snipe with a 62A, but screw that. If you can just chunk people for the better part of 1,000. Another thing I find is this thing just instills more fear in people. People run away from you, stuff like that. With the 62A, people tend to kind of ignore you, which I think I mentioned earlier. That can work in your favor. I have a replay that shows that, where people just kind of ignore me, and it's great. You could just sit there and farm them because they go, oh, it's only 260. That's okay. And then, but before they can even finish that thought, is another 260. So it does add up. But in terms of making your exposures count, the 1-to-1 is great. So I really like this tank, and I highly recommend it to just about anyone. I don't run food with it or anything like that. It's a pretty standard kind of setup. I don't think I do optics either. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.